Welcome to episode 39 of our exploration into Robert Greene's The Law of Human Nature. Imagine a child who doesn't feel loved by their parents. This child can't understand why mom and dad don't show affection. It's too scary to think the parents might be wrong, so the child decides, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I don't deserve love. This thought, though not conscious, sticks with them as they grow up. As adults, these people carry a heavy feeling of not being good enough. They don't know why they feel this way, but it colors everything they do. They start to expect bad things to happen. They notice sad stuff more than happy stuff. It's like they're wearing gray glasses that make the whole world look gloomy. These people might do something that seems odd. They sometimes choose to be alone and sad. Why? Because if they make themselves sad, at least they're in control. It feels safer than waiting for life to make them sad by surprise. Let's look at a real person who felt this way, Hans von Bülow. He was a talented German composer and conductor who lived from 1830 to 1894. Hans had a tough childhood with a bossy, unfriendly mother. This early experience left him feeling unworthy and sad most of the time. In 1855, Hans met Cosima Liszt, the daughter of the famous composer Franz Liszt. Cosima was drawn to Hans because he seemed sad and sensitive. She thought, I can help him. I can turn him into a great composer. They got married, but things didn't go as Cosima hoped. As time went on, Hans started to feel inferior to Cosima. She was smart and had a strong personality. Hans began to doubt her love for him. He'd often withdraw from her when he felt depressed. When Cosima got pregnant, Hans suddenly developed a mysterious illness that kept him away from her. Sometimes, he'd turn cold towards her for no apparent reason. Cosima, feeling neglected and unloved, started an affair with Richard Wagner, who was both Hans's friend and a famous composer. Strangely, Cosima felt like Hans had somehow encouraged this to happen, even though he didn't do it on purpose. When Cosima finally left Hans to live with Wagner, Hans's reaction was puzzling. He started sending Cosima lots of letters. In these letters, he blamed himself for everything. He'd write about how he was unworthy of her love, how his career was going badly, and how he felt like ending his life. These letters made Cosima feel awful. She felt guilty and depressed, like she was somehow responsible for Hans's sadness. It seemed like Hans was using his sadness as a way to hurt her back, though he probably didn't realize he was doing this. Cosima once said that each of Hans's letters felt like a sword twisted in my heart. And these letters kept coming, year after year, until Hans remarried and started the same pattern with his new wife. This story shows how people with a depressive attitude often push away the very people who want to help them. They might criticize them, suddenly become distant, or make them feel guilty. This back and forth is confusing for the helper, who often ends up feeling sad too. People like Hans often do things that mess up their own lives. If something good happens, they might ruin it because deep down they don't think they deserve good things. They might stop working on a project right when it's going well, or take criticism way too hard and give up. It's important to know that most of us feel down sometimes. That's normal and can even be helpful. Feeling low can be our mind's way of telling us to slow down and rest. The key is to remember that these sad feelings usually don't last forever. If you often feel this way, try to put your feelings into something creative, like art or music. Hans, despite his struggles, was a talented musician. Using your alone time to explore your thoughts and feelings through art can be healing. It might help to remind yourself that the sadness you feel today probably won't be there next week. If you're trying to help someone who's always down, don't try to cheer them up by telling them how great life is. That usually doesn't work. Instead, try to understand how they see the world. Then, without making a big deal of it, try try to involve them in activities that might naturally make them feel a bit better. Remember, this way of thinking often starts in childhood, but understanding it can be the first step to feeling better. It's not easy, but it's possible to learn new ways of seeing yourself and the world that aren't so dark and heavy. Hans von Bülow's story shows us how deep these patterns can run, but it also reminds us of the importance of recognizing these patterns in ourselves and others, so we can work towards healthier relationships and self-perceptions. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If anything resonated with you, feel free to drop your thoughts and personal stories in the comments below. Your input might just be the insight someone else needs. Here's something to keep in mind. Make a daily habit of learning something useful. Just like how you nourish your body with food, your mind needs nourishment too. Be deliberate about what you consume, because otherwise, the algorithm might start influencing your thoughts. Think about it. And hey, we're always open to welcoming subscriptions to our channel as donations to support our future upcoming projects and bring you top-tier content. Join our community by subscribing today.